Hello and welcome to Disctv, the show that brings you the world of disc golf. I'm Brian Sullivan, and this week is part one of our coverage of the 2002 Disc Golf World Championships here in Houston, Texas. Now, our focus this week will mainly be on the women's side of the competition. Four-time women's world champion Juliana Korver looking to make it 5 straight. Will she get there? Stay tuned and find out, because Disctv is on the air right now. Also this week, we'll spend some time talking with former world champion David Greenwell, and we'll take you along on a brief tour of the Disc Golf Hall of Fame. It's all about disc golf. This is Disctv.
Good. Pause.
Disctv is brought to you in part by the Professional Disc Golf Association, guiding disc golf into the future. Maceman Disc Golf Gear, expect the best. And by DiscLife.com, the world leader in disc golf. Welcome to Disctv's coverage of the 2002 PDGA Professional Disc Golf World Championships. I'm Brian Sullivan. With me is the World's Tournament Director. He's Dave Nesbitt. Dave, thanks for having us out here.
No problem.
Now, first off, Nez, give me a little bit of the scope of this event. What's going on?
Well, we've got 225 competitors from around the world, representing 8 different countries and probably close to every state in the country.
Wow.
Playing here on 4 different courses, Tom Bass Park here in Houston. The Wilmot, the Powell, and the tourney course are here in this particular park, and Lakeside is about a quarter mile away.
And tell me about the courses. What kind of challenges are these players facing day in and day out here at the Worlds?
Well, 2 of them are permanent courses that we've had in for years and years. We put 2 temporary courses in by splitting some of the holes off and segmenting them. The Wilmot course behind us is probably the most challenging. It's probably our signature course, and they're seeing a lot of length. We're seeing distances between 71 and 7,600 feet for the 18 holes on Wilmot and on Turney and Powell. They all play relatively simple, but the subtleties of the courses here in these 3 parks are really challenging. Plays with a little bit of water, a little bit of elevation, although we don't have much here in Texas, and then a fair amount of wood. So the challenge is to get your birdies where you get them and not to take too much pain on the way through.
Has there been talk that perhaps these courses favor the longer arms?
A little bit, I think, from the international players, but realistically, I think it's more a challenge of placement. I think we play a lot of one-shot, one-putt type golf in general, and these courses challenge a little different set of skills. Playing that position shot off of your drive so that you have more of like a 250-shot upshot rather than, you know, a 350, 400-foot drive and a 15, 20-foot putt. And so it brings in a second set of skills that aren't played too often. And perhaps that could be perceived as requiring a long arm, but I think you're finding people like Dave Greenwell, who do not have a long arm, are competing very, very well. So.
Now, we've seen so many different winners this year on the PDGA National Tour. Coming in, did 1 or 2 players in any division look particularly strong to you? Do you think these courses favor 1 or 2 particular players?
You know, from my standpoint, I really thought that Jesper Lundmark, when he came in, the Swedes came in early. Jesper came in and shot and tied the course record in practice while we were playing leagues out here, and said, you know, Jesper's a pump, he's got an arm. I figured he really had a great shot. He hasn't played as well as expected since at least through the first half of the tournament. Ronnie came in early, walked in first league on Thursday prior to the tournament, aced the first hole. We all laughed. He took home our ace pot, our local ace pot of about $170. We said, oh, I hope this isn't an omen. Ronnie sitting at the top. So I really had those 2 playing well. Of course, there's just a dogfight going on right now with a number of people who could play this and win this championship, and they're all there.
Now, much of the focus here is on the singles competitions, but in fact, there's a whole lot else going on. Tell me some of the side events, some of the doubles, what's happening?
Sure. Well, it's really almost a week and a half long event. We started out with what we called World Best Golfer Competition. We had 5 ultimate competitors who played ball golf on the ball golf course next door, played 18 holes of stick golf, if you will, and then came over here and shot 18 holes of disc golf on the Wilmot. Classic event. They had a lot of fun. Brad Hammock walked away with it. Kenny Climo got beat by 12 strokes on the ball golf course and decided to go practice a different course at DNF'd. It was really a classic event. But distance competitions are going on, putting competitions are going on to crown world championships in both those events. We're playing doubles, both divisional doubles by division and gender, if you will, as well as mixed doubles are also happening. It's really a convention. We've got a fly mart that's happening on the Monday. We have a PDGA awards banquet that goes on tonight. And we have a major awards dinner that's sponsored by Innova that's happening in an ice house just on the other side of those woods, where we'll get some air conditioning out of the Houston heat and make our awards presentation for the tournament. So.
They came from across the globe for one purpose: to determine who would earn the right to be called world champion. Some would travel here from as far as Japan and Sweden, but all came prepared for the most grueling competition of the 2002 season. The format this week is 2 18-hole rounds per day from Tuesday through Friday, followed by a semifinal round on Saturday, then a cut to the top 4 plus ties for the final 9 holes. That's a total of 9 rounds of regulation play on 4 separate courses here in Houston's Tom Bass Park. So who was hot? The Texas Heat didn't pose much threat to Albuquerque's Sheila Kirkham, who started the week on a good pace, then made a move in the 3rd round on the Powell course by carding a 4 over par 58, which would move her into 5th place. Kirkham would stumble in round 5 at the tourney course, and she dropped into 7th. A pair of 66s on Friday would bring another slide, this time into 8th place, with 2 other women hot on Kirkham's heels. California's #1 female disc golfer is Annie Kreml, who has competed at the World Championships every year since 1994 and never failed to break into the top 5 spots. In fact, Kreml finished in 2nd place 3 years in a row, from 95 through 97, but the women's title has managed to elude her best efforts. Kreml started confidently on the Lakeside course, but bogeys would slowly drag her down as Annie Kreml carded 4 straight rounds in the 60s. Our next player is Nadine Larkin of Breckenridge, Colorado. In the wintertime, chances are good you'll find Larkin snowboarding on some of those double diamond slopes of the Rocky Mountains, but summer brings her out to the disc golf course. She took a couple of days to adjust to the heat of Houston and carded a nice 2 over par round of 56 for round 5 at the tourney course. It would turn out to be her strongest round of the week, and Nadine Larkin was in the hunt. If Elaine King is on the course, you know you've got your work cut out for you. The PhD biochemist from Ontario, Canada, has all the skills she needs to win, plus the added experience of having already been the women's world champ 5 different times. King was shooting good, steady golf on Tuesday and Wednesday, but as the leaders were gaining momentum, King was losing hers with late week scores in the 60s. 28-year-old Birgitta Lagerholm is Sweden's top women's player, and she had a great start on Tuesday that would put her on the leader card. Then it was time for a little pain, as Lagerholm had a hard time staying in bounds for rounds 3, 4, and 5. On one hole alone, Lagerholm walked away with a quadruple circle 13. Yow! However, thanks to a strong putting game, Lagerholm was able to get back on track and finish strong with 5 straight rounds at or near par. Leslie Herndon has been the U.S. Women's National Champ 2 years straight, and she's been feeling pretty good after a 2nd place finish at Worlds last year and a strong 2002 season with 6 National Tour wins. Herndon showed the women she meant business. A round best 3 under par 51 in round 1 at the Lakeside course, 3 strokes better than the rest of the field. For Leslie Herndon, it would be a very consistent week, with her scores always hovering somewhere near par. Here's the favorite going into this week. She's 4-time women's world champ Juliana Korver of Orange City, Iowa. And Korver began the defense of her crown in solid form, keeping within 3 strokes of the lead. Day 2, a tough 63 in round 4, and Korver would be in the unusual position of 3rd place, 6 strokes out of 1st. A big day, though, on Thursday had Juliana Korver back in 2nd place, shooting a 3 under par 51 at Lakeside. Then another stumble in round 7, and Korver was once again 6 strokes behind the leader going into the final 9. So who was really tearing it up all week? Well, her name is Des Reddy, another Iowa disc golfer, and one who's been elevating her game every month this year. She started the season slowly and has since scored some major wins on the PDGA National Tour. After day one, Redding was trailing Herndon by 2, but she kept a hard pace and never gave the other players any breathing room. Her long putting game was unstoppable, and Redding kept her focus to one hole at a time. As a result, Des Redding has managed to string together 9 solid rounds of disc golf, and she leads by a commanding 6 strokes going into the final 9. A wise man once said, "You'll never know where you're going until you understand where you've already been." Well, one guy who understands very well where disc golf has already been is former world champion David Greenwell. He's with us today. David, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
Now, tell me first of all how you got started in disc golf. It's been a while now.
Actually, I got started as a result of an accident that I had in the late 70s working construction, where I got hit in the head with a board. And I was off work for a couple of years and thought it would be good therapy. I was told to do some light aerobic workouts, and I happened to meet a guy who told me about a sport called Frisbee golf. And I had no idea what that was, but I loved throwing Frisbee, and one thing led to another, and here I am.
And here I am. Well, let's talk a little bit about the early years. After the therapeutic years, so to speak,
Right.
it wasn't long, and you were a world champion.
Well, you know, it actually took about 6 years to get to be a world champion, and that was a doubles champion. But I won a lot of individual events leading up to that and was just absolutely ate up with the competition part of it. I just loved to compete, and throwing a disc was just fun. Watching it being on was fun. So everything about it appeals to me.
You've seen so much from the early years of disc golf up until the present. Talk a little bit about some of the changes you've seen, both the good and perhaps maybe some of the negative.
Wow, there's been so many different changes just with the technology, with the amount of people that are playing, with all the different new courses, and you know, the discs flying farther, so we had to stretch out the courses that we already had, and it's been a really big transformation. And I mean, it's just something that I can't see an end to yet. You know, I mean, the discs are still going farther, and the courses are getting bigger, and there's more people and more people and more people, and it's just awesome. Seeing the growth of something that basically was a backyard game when I started. Now it's turning into a legitimate sport.
It has certainly gone well beyond the backyard. Now, you're known for your mental game. You play very well under pressure. Is there anything you do to psych yourself up or to calm yourself down, or is there a process that you use to stay focused when the pressure's really on?
You know, that's a pretty difficult question, and I think a lot of it involves just being there and doing that. You know, having been in a bunch of different situations over 25 years, you learn how to cope and what works best for you. So, I mean, I haven't always been great at concentrating. You know, it's something that you really have to train yourself to do. So, I mean, relaxation is a big part of it, and really putting things into perspective. You know, a lot of people, when they miss a putt, they just go off and go ballistic. But when you do that, you just set yourself up for failure on the next shot or two. So after you fail a few times as a result of getting upset, you learn that you can't do that. So calm and playing one shot at a time is a big part of it.
Now, this year at Worlds, first of all, let me ask, can I ask how old you are?
I'm 49.
You're 49, and this year you decided at the World Championships to play in the Open division. What led to that decision?
You know, as long as I feel competitive on a course, I will generally play in the Open division. But this year I had a little extra incentive. I have a very good friend of mine who I've been with for 17 years who has cancer, and she's fighting a really tough battle, and we kind of decided together that if she was going to fight her battle, I was going to fight the big battle at the Open division and try to win one for her. And unfortunately, I ended up with a bit of a knee injury that kind of took me out of the thought process, but I'm still doing pretty good.
You came out of the gate extremely strong. You were in 4th place at one point earlier in the week. What happened with the knee?
Actually, it was a result, I think, of a new tee pad that we've been using that is made out of rubber. And it's something that when you have rubber shoes on and you're trying to rotate on a rubber surface, it just doesn't rotate very well. So I don't know what we're going to do about that other than possibly not use them anymore. I mean, concrete has some give, the ground has some give, but for me, the rubber on rubber doesn't work very well. So it was unfortunate, and most of the younger players don't have as much problem with them as I do, but having played for 25 years and thrown way too many throws, the knees have gotten a little bit weak here later in life.
Is there any sort of specific regimen that you use to stretch out, keep yourself nice and limber before a big tournament like the Worlds?
You know, general everyday stretching is pretty key to the whole process. You know, especially the older you get, the shorter your muscles get, and you have to keep stretching them. This game isn't as much about strength as it is about flexibility and being loose. You know, when I get up to throw a shot, I want every muscle in my body to be as loose as possible, because loose translates into longer muscles, and longer muscles translate into smoother shots. So just staying loose and stretched out is a really big key to this.
Well, David Greenwell, our morning round is going to begin soon, and I know you want to get out and throw some practice shots, but one more question before we go. From everything you've already seen, can you kind of look into your crystal ball and give us an idea of where you see disc golf going in, say, the next 10 years?
Wow. You know, I think that we're going to be a little more recognized, and a lot of that is due to people like yourself, who is making our sport available to viewers who never would have seen it. So the more publicity we get, the more explosion we're going to have in the population of the sport. So it's going to be a trying 5 years, because the growth is going to be so big that it's going to be kind of hard to deal with. So all I can tell you is, if you've never thrown a disc, after you see this on TV, get out there and try it one time, and I think you'll like it.
He's former world champion David Greenwell. David, so much thanks for being here, and good luck today.
Thank you, Brian.
One thing you're guaranteed to have an opportunity to see when you come to the World Championships is the Disc Golf Hall of Fame. We're here today with the curator of the Hall of Fame. He's Speedy Guerrero. Speedy, thanks for having us.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on your show.
Now, there are people in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
How do they get there?
There's a selection process that starts with nominations made from the previous year. Any member that has more than 2 votes from the previous final ballot gets in immediately. Then more nominations are made by request of the current Hall of Fame members.
Okay. And how many Hall of Fame members are there right now?
Currently there are 37 members, excuse me.
And you have tons of memorabilia, so are you going to show us around?
I sure will.
Let's look at some stuff.
All right, that sounds good.
So start me at the beginning, Speedy. I want to see everything.
Sure thing. The Hall of Fame is a museum that has discs and plaques, photographs, videotapes, literature that commemorates all of the promoters of disc golf.
So, for example, like, this is really cool. What do we have here?
This is a Hall of Fame disc from 2001. And there are 300 discs that are produced every year and sold at the World Championships. They're fantastic. The Hall of Fame members get them. They're awesome.
That's cool.
They're a sought after item.
Okay.
For sure. Some of these people that are in these photographs here are the first 7 inductees to the Disc Golf Hall of Fame, starting with Ed Hedrick, the inventor of the disc golf target, the pole hole.
So Steady Ed here is where he should be, you know, the first guy in the Disc Golf Hall of Fame, but who are the other 7 initial inductees?
Oh, Dan Roddick is a guru of Frisbee play and disc golf, and he's been involved with disc golf for so long. One of the original members.
Stark. He's the man.
Absolutely.
Who else?
Jim Palmieri promoted disc golf in the northeast part of the country. Tom Monroe was in the southeast. We have Dave Dunapace in California, a disc promoter and manufacturer. Vanessa Chambers was a great disc golfer who won several world championships in the early 80s. Ted Smethers, a member of the PDGA and commissioner, and many other people.
Well, I see a whole bunch of folks. Who founded the Disc Golf Hall of Fame?
Levon from Huntsville, Alabama, had this great idea in 1993 that the best promoters, the best players in disc golf should be celebrated by the entire community. He got a team together, formulated a charter, made the induction list to begin with, and from then on went on to a great tradition.
And each inductee here has a disc that is somehow representing them? Is that?
There's a lot of memorabilia, including discs in the Hall of Fame, and I do always display one disc that associates that member with either their tournament that they directed or a tournament they won a world championship for. They all have many discs to be celebrated, but I choose one, and that's what I brought here to the Hall of Fame here in Houston.
Speedy, you've got a Frisbee pint in here. Now, is this one of the actual originals?
It is one of the originals. I'm glad to have it in the collection.
So like college kids actually started the whole phenomenon by throwing these things, these pie tins.
That's all they had to throw. It worked great for them, and they made a lot of games up with it.
And then we went to this.
The plastic disc. It's used to play all kinds of different games, from freestyle to ultimate Frisbee to disc golf.
And Steady Ed gave us this. Now this is cool. You've got the actual first prototype that Steady Ed Hedrick built. I mean, this is what his whole patent was based on. This right here that we're looking at. This is great.
It's an awesome device. The beauty of it is that it's a 360-degree target.
Wow. And then finally we had the beveled edge disc. This is one of your early versions of the beveled edge disc?
That's right. This is one of the early discs made by Ed Hedrick as well. And as you can see, it has a better aerodynamic quality to it because of that. And they could just cut right through the wind, made the game totally different.
Oh man, this is cool. Speedy, the Disc Golf Hall of Fame is a traveling hall, so every year at the World Championships, you're there. People can see it there, but where else can they see it?
The Disc Golf Hall of Fame has had its first permanent installation in Atlanta, Georgia. Patty Kunkel and John David from IFO Graphics set up that installation, and we are in negotiation to move permanently to Augusta, Georgia.
Excellent. Now, if people want more information, maybe they want to make a donation or sponsor the Hall of Fame, or just come and see it and find out where that permanent installation is going to be, you know, who can they talk to? Where should they go?
They can certainly call or contact PDGA at pdga.com, and they'll get some more information about the future of the Disc Golf Hall of Fame. The future and what lies for the Hall of Fame is in Augusta, promoting through the PDGA Disc Golf Hall of Fame Classic, a new tournament run for the first time on May 30th and the 31st of 2003.
Curator Speedy Guerrero, thanks so much for showing us around. It's been really fun.
Thanks for coming. Really appreciate it.